Morning, everybody. Enter the stars. And Daniel said these words in the last days, or about the last days. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with watery clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So, I asked myself, what is iron? Well, alloys like steel are made from iron. Make no mistake, steel is iron. And needles, hypodermic needles, are gauged by what's called Stubbs iron wire gauge. Now, bear with me, because we're about to go on a journey to find the truth about this reality. Things are not what they seem. Watch this.
The proper term for a syringe and needle. It's used to draw blood or inject medication. This indispensable tool was invented back in 1853, but it wasn't until 1954 that mass-produced disposable syringes came on the market, developed for the vast immunization campaign against polio. A syringe may make you cringe, but the treatment it delivers could be a lifesaver. To make a hypodermic needle, they start with a flat strip of stainless steel. A milling machine rolls it into a tube shape. A laser welds the seams together. But what makes the steel stiff enough to use is something called cold work, in which they press the tubing through a die several times. This also slims the tube dramatically, so now you have a thinner, tougher tube. It takes about a couple of days to turn the stainless steel strip into a tube with needle potential. But it will have to be sharp to perform, and the next steps will focus on getting the steel tube to a point where it's more than just a blunt object. An electrically powered blade scores the walls of the tubes as rubber pads bear down and roll. This rolling causes the tubes to finally break at the score line. The tubes are being cut down to size, about 5 centimeters long. The tubes fall into a bin, a tangled mess. The bin, driven by air pressure, agitates, and this shaking motion straightens them out. An operator bundles them together with a plastic band, but removes a few to check the specs. This micrometer uses laser light to measure the outside diameter. The tube is supposed to be 2 millimeters, and it's right on. Next, a mechanically driven drum rolls super adhesive tape onto the tubes. The tape will hold the tubes in place as more work is done on them. They razor cut 12 centimeter strips of the tape tubes so that there are about 100 tubes per strip. Then they spray aluminum oxide on the ends of the tubes. This roughs them up so that the surface will be easier to work with. Now they place the strips of tubes into the grinding fixture, and then they snap it shut. Coolant flushes over the tube tips as the fixture moves across a grinding wheel. The wheel grinds through the tops of the tubes, shaping them into a rough point. This is only the first grind, so it's not yet needle sharp. Now the fixture rolls and rotates the tubes. Then it's back to the grind. The angle of the wheel is changed so that it sands the sides of the tubes. These two secondary grinds sharpen the tubes into a finer point. This is how they looked before grinding, and this is after. with their sharp needle tips. Now it's time for the big inspection. She pushes the ends of the needles with the back of her tweezers to make sure they're even, and then pulls out a needle for sampling. She measures the length of the grind. It should be a few millimeters long. Next, she sizes up the needle's outside diameter with a micrometer. Holding the needle between posts, it measures the space between them. Then she checks the inside diameter by inserting a plug gauge into the tube. Now she inspects a whole bundle of needles for irregularities or burrs. Using tweezers, she removes one for a close-up look under the microscope. Once they pass inspection, it's on to the big wheel or the automated assembly machine. Brass and nickel-plated fittings called hubs drop onto pins on the wheel. Then needles fall into the hubs. Metal fingers align them so they fit together precisely. The hub is the piece that will connect the needle to the syringe. Automated crimpers press the needle into the hub. Sheer friction bonds them. Now, two metal pads on the same wheel position the needle. A plastic sleeve drops down, encasing the pointed tip. Finally, a robotic arm lifts the needle off the wheel and drops it into a bin. The needles are now ready for you, but are you ready for them?
I don't think so. Are VCs the manifestation of Daniel's prophecy? The mixing of iron with watery clay? Them mingling themselves with the seed of men? Who are they? And why are they trying to mix their seed with us? Now, for those of you that have come to this channel for quite some time, you know that God has been revealing a lot of things to us before they happen. And on August 8th and August 11th, notice the 88 encoded in those two dates, God revealed to us a video that we uploaded that I'm going to share with you the first 12 minutes of, in which Trump is holding a golden key. We compared him to the two-faced god Janus, who also holds a golden key, a key to his gate that is opened during war and closed during peace. Well, yesterday, Trump gave Netanyahu a golden key to the White House as part of a peace deal in the Middle East. Watch. This is from last month, and this was a live show that we did on a previous video that happened the 3 or 4 days before this. Ancient Roman two-faced Trump the Gemini is in fact Janus, and that's going to be the topic of today's show. Who is Janus, you may be asking? Well, Janus is the ancient Roman two-faced god. In fact, a gate or a wall was named after Janus. The gate was called the Ianus Geminis. This is it right here, pictured on this coin. We're going to talk more about this gate later in the show, but I wanted to open the show with this because this is indicative of Trump's wall. Now, as we go through some of these points that seem to mirror the Janus two-faced god, understand that everything that I mention is referenced in this Wikipedia page for Janus. Okay, so I'm going to reference this page throughout the show. Now, Janus' name means doorway or passages, kind of like a time traveler. He was referred to as the beginning and the end of all things, knowing the past and the future. Janus could see into the past with one face and into the future with the other. He is actually referred to in this Wikipedia article as the master of time. Does this all sound familiar? Janus could be a double for Kronos, which of course is Saturn. You're going to see references of Saturn to Janus as we move through this live show. Do you remember the clock at the foot of Trump Tower? Remember this? Let's pull this up here. This is it right here. Let's look at images of the clock at Trump Tower. The makers of Back to the Future, way back in the 1980s, they admitted that the Biff character was based off of Trump, all the way back in the 80s, when Trump was nothing more than a millionaire at that time. An up-and-comer, but nonetheless, they based an entire series off of this man, almost as if they knew what was going to happen. Here's the Trump Tower clock. This is all about time travel. Now, what else is going on with Janus and Trump? Well, there's a Biff reference in the Janus archetype. Yes, Biff, same character from Back to the Future. In fact, the two faces, the way it's depicted of Janus, is called the bifrons. What you're looking at here is called the bifrons. We're going to call it the biffrons because that's what the intention was. And bifrons means two faces. Now, not only is Janus called bifrons, but Biff and Tannen are the names of demons. Let's take a look at that. Now I'm going to link all of these, proof of all this. This is what I believe the inspiration was for Biff, Janus, bifrons, the two faces. And here's bifrons as Janus, so you can see the documentation for that. Bifrons is the two faces. Here is the list of theological demons. We have first bifrons, and we have Tannen, Biff Tannen, from Back to the Future. And this is why they depicted Biff as Trump. Now, here's the bifrons demon. Remember, this is Janus as well. A demon described in demonological grimoires, the Lesser Key of Solomon, as the 46th spirit, in the Pseudo-Monarchia Demonium as the 47th spirit. Let's keep reading about Bifrons, the demon. That demon looks familiar because he's often watching. Now you're going to hear about me addressing the key specifically from a video from August 8th. This one's dated August 11th, and this one is dated August 8th that I'm referencing in this video. So there's 006 and 007. Gemini. Now, what you just saw is Janus, and he has this golden key. The golden keys, as you're going to see here, are prominent in the film. And there are two, just like the two faces of Janus. You're going to see two golden keys, which look like an eye. Now, Janus is also the god of borders, you know, like the wall. And back in those days, these borders were rivers. Janus was the protector of doors, gates, and roadways in general. And you can see it as these two symbols that he carried, the staff and the key. Here's some images of Janus carrying the staff and the key. Here's the key. And here is Janus with the key and the staff. So, watch this. Because during the election in 2016, Trump actually carries the key, right? I can't remember the context by which he was carrying this key. But here it is. Trivializes international law. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump holds up a key to the city he brought on the stage with him as he speaks. This was March 7th, 2016 at a campaign rally in Madison. Interesting to use this prop, which is exactly what Janus carried with him. Can't make this up, you guys. Let's keep watching. There you see the two golden keys with the eye on them. Now, someone noticed that this card that pops out of here, obviously that's a handprint or a fingerprint scanner. Now we're going to leave that live show at that, and I can link this in the description if you guys want more proof and evidence. But look at all the lost souls who thumbs down this video. And it appears as though we were correct. Trump has a fascination with keys, unlike any other president, and it probably has to deal with Janice. Now, this decode I did on GoldenEye is another decode. This was on August 8th, 8/8, that you should probably look at. That gives you more clues about how Trump fits into this matrix. So, why are we talking about golden keys? Well, yesterday, Trump gave Netanyahu a golden key to the White House as part of this peace deal. And like I told you, here's the golden key here. Like I told you, in ancient times, Janus held the key. There was a Janus gate. Let me show you that. Here's the temple of Janus. The gates of Janus were the most important part of the structure. Their opening and closing was a reason for its existence. The gates played a large part in Roman religion as it concerned WAR, and was something that leaders, military leaders, had to take seriously to have the support of the people. There are many historical sources which confirm that the gates were closed during times of peace and opened during times of WAR. So, giving Netanyahu a key while you're saying peace is two-faced. This isn't about peace at all, in my opinion. So, here's where things get creepy. Look at the gates of Janus. They look a lot like the images seen on the box next to the key of the White House. Yes, the gates of Janus, with its parallel vertical columns, looks a lot like our White House design. In fact, I believe the White House is built after Roman architecture. So this is not a stretch by any stretch of the imagination. Now, what else is there in this article? Well, here's the peace deal. Many people are upset because Palestine was not mentioned. Is that Lincoln behind him in the painting? I don't know. But if it is, there is another connection that we had already talked about. This Lincoln connection with pence, pennies, pennywise, copper. The Anaconda Plan, which was Lincoln's plan to put a stranglehold on the South, and he showed a big snake wrapped around the South. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Things are ramping up, you guys, and more deception is being revealed. And today marks the 77th day before V-Day. What are you talking about, Casey? Well, V-Day is coming up. It is the day that on 11/1, they're saying that they're going to inoculate the entire world. Look at this thing. This is creepy. Now, some people are going to want to chalk this up to coincidence that we were already talking about these keys. But if you haven't followed the channel, this happens almost every week. And that ain't me. That's the Most High. Do you think he's not going to have a plan to counter this evil? Of course he's going to have a plan, and I'm happy to say we are part of that plan. So many are still deceived. So many. So, let's take a look here. So, the question becomes, on V-Day, will you take it? According to most people, They still believe that they'll be given a choice. But will they? They'll be given the illusion of choice. Of course they will. But how difficult will your life be if you decline to take the VC? Will you be able to reopen your business? Will you be able to rent a car? Will you be able to ride in an Uber or swim at your local pool? Will you be able to go back to your normal sports events that you used to like? Or concerts? Or grocery shop? Or go to the movies? Or fly on an airplane? Or cross over into certain states that they have deemed are having some kind of outbreak? Are you going to be able to ski? These are things to think about, and only time will tell. So, today we're going to dig into what I'm calling the first VC president. He's also the first 5G whiz president, but today we're going to focus on the first VC president, Donald Trump. And he also seems to be the mystery president in iPedGo 2. Now we're going to take a look at that. As I promised we would, this was a montage we uploaded, I believe, over the weekend. We're going to take another look at the third and final mystery president revealed in the Psalm 23 graffiti. Now, two other presidents are depicted in this. Clearly, many people are confused about this, but there are two other presidents in this. Bush and Obama, of course. I'm not saying that Trump looks like Bush. I'm saying that there's symbolism associated around this animation that is basically telling us that there is a mystery third president. These elite never do anything in just twos. So that should have been your first clue, that they only depicted Bush and Obama. Everything is in threes. Let's watch this montage I put together over the weekend. So all I did here was take the word VC and move the letters around. That's all I did. Do you think these elite don't have multiple layers of their deception? Of course they do. That to me looks like a snake.
One bottle be enough?
It's genuine 160 proof old Anglo-Saxon, baby.
So this is from the 1971 film Omega Man. And this is just straight creepy. Because Omega Man is Charlton Heston. And much like in this year, 2020, and much like Trump, who is doing BLOOD drives, publicly asking you to give your BLOOD to find a cure for CV-19. Well, in this film, Charlton Heston offers his BLOOD to cure the world of a spam-demic. Watch.
Trying to find treatments for diseases that hadn't existed. Tell how the doctors invented them.
They say that the doctors invented them. That's happening right now.
The doctors invented them. Tell how the doctors invented them.
Now I'm the only game in town.
How long do you think it'll take?
I don't know how much. I'll draw blood as often as I can. We'll just have to keep pumping it into it. In Rich, you'll be this.
Draw, BLOOD. And if you take the word Operation Warp Speed and you spell warp speed backwards, it looks like draw deeps.
Source of even more antibodies. The more people we inject, the more serum we'll get. And when that's done, baby, we will pull out. No, nothing with drugs. It's got to be the serum.
It's got to be the serum. It's got to be the...
So these people are trying to cure the people that are affected by the zombie apocalypse. And he says, well, why don't we make a VC? And he's like, nope, it's got to be the serum. That's BLOOD. And so what is he saying here? Now, at the end of this, Charlton Heston bleeds out and he dies at the end of the film inside of a water fountain, laying in the crucifixion position. Because they want you dependent on a different savior, not your savior above. They want to be the savior. They want to offer their BLOOD. You see what's happening here. People are believing it.
Serum. It's got to be the serum.
Couldn't you reconstitute the vaccine?
You got any idea how many steps it takes to synthesize an antibiotic specific for this bug? God knows I've tried. Once I caught one of Matthias's people last year. I tried everything in the shelves on him. He damn near killed me. And then he died very badly himself.
Very badly himself. Very badly himself.
Now, everybody knows Trump's signature phrase. Very badly. He's been made fun of for it because people assume that that was incorrect vernacular, but it's actually not. It's just so rarely used that it stands out when someone says it. And here's Charlton Heston saying Trump's phrase in 1971. This is where I get chills because I wonder, we talked all about this time travel thing. This is just weird.
So, it's very tight, Doctor.
That brings us to Dunce Day. And this is why I believe the hidden mystery president of iPetGo 2 is the Don. I'm going to tell you why. You see, Dunce Day always falls on November 8th. And that just so happened to be Election Day 2016 when Trump was elected to office. Now, Election Day normally rarely falls on Dunce Day on November 8th. But it did for some very notable presidents like Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln's second term, his second election came on Dunce Day, 11/8. So you're going to see Bush in iPetGo 2 wearing this dunce cap. I believe that's a direct reference to the following election after Obama that fell on Dunce Day. Watch. There's a Pence component to this as well. We're going to get into that as well. But look at the Anaconda plan. This was Lincoln's plan. A serpent wrapped around the South. I mean, how creepy is that? Now, look at who's holding the puppet strings. Who's the richest president by far? Like by 3 times, I think it is. Trump. He is the money president. And you see the $ ring on the serpent's hand. You see the scowl, which is also a signature Trump face. Wait a minute. His eyebrows. So, several pennies is called a pence. It's the plural of the single penny. So do you think there's not an Abraham Lincoln connection to Pence? Of course there is. Lincoln is like this guy's God. He references him regularly. He made an unannounced private trip to southern Indiana. The former Indiana governor flew into Evansville Regional Airport at mid-morning Monday and then traveled by motorcade to the Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial. He's from the state where much of Lincoln's life happened. And then he invoked Lincoln to defend Trump's Russia comments. This was back in 2016. And there, of course, is Heston with the dunce cap, offering his BLOOD to save the earth from a spamdemic, just like Trump is trying to do right now. Can't make this up, you guys. And now you know why I'm on this and why I'm on Trump, because this is a matter of life and death. We're no longer taking infants out in the womb. It's gone above and beyond. They want it all. And Trump is the one delivering the fangs of the serpent. And he's got 90% of the Christians deceived into following him right into the mixing of iron with watery clay. I don't care how much I'm hated for getting on Trump. I will do it because this is what the Most High is telling me to do. Pence read Psalm 23 during some kind of memorial for Blind 11, confirming all of these connections. Psalm 23 had not been read since Bush on Blind 11. Now, some of you thought you saw the name Donald inside of this graffiti, and I was saddened by so many of you that unsubscribed because you thought I was reading things into things. Well, that doesn't say Donald, Casey. It says Psalm 23. Of course it says Psalm 23, but it also might say Donald and probably says a lot of other things. That's called deception. That's called you holding on to something in your heart for Trump and then lashing out at people like me who forget. I mean, if you were to forget this and not see Donald in this graffiti and look at all the other evidence we've shown you, then you would understand. But you can't nitpick one little thing and go, that you just stretch that and then forget all the other evidence. Doesn't work that way. So some of you said you saw Donald in the graffiti. So I tried to portray that for those of you that saw that. I didn't catch it. I didn't see it in there. But I thought, okay, if Donald was in the graffiti, what would it look like? And that's all I was doing here. I wasn't trying to stretch this to meet the overall picture of what was created here. The evidence speaks for itself. The Janus, the Two-Faced, us finding the key, talking about it a month before Donald pulls out his key and gives it to Netanyahu. The Hagia Sophia Mosque that we were talking about before that got converted. And all of the other things that we found before it even broke in the news. This isn't me talking. It's the Most High trying to deliver a message to you. Now, some people will listen, but many won't because it's their own internal pride. It's that they put their stamp on the voting ballot and they can't turn back from that. And that's the problem with voting. When you vote for someone, you're voting for the unknown. You're voting for a man who can do anything he wants now because he has your approval. He has your vote. So, maybe this says Donald, maybe it doesn't. But don't let this 130 seconds be the reason why you think all the other evidence does not fit in, because it absolutely does fit in. And that's the show for today. I'm glad for all of you that showed up, who are willing to listen to the truth and open your eyes to the deception, the fangs of the serpent. They're coming. They're coming, you guys. It's coming. V-Day. V-Day is happening. Just like it did in the film, in the series Utopia, the British series that came out many years ago, that talked about V-Day, the V-seeing of the entire world on one day in November. And here we are in November 2020. V-Day is upon us. What were they V-seeing for in the Utopia series? The Russian flu. Are you getting chills yet? Is this all starting to settle in? Because it did for me. Now we have to share this video. Get the word out. I'm getting a lot of complaints about ads. I'm filtering out those comments now. The only way to stay on this platform is to be feasible for YouTube to let you stay on the platform. Your channel has to perform under their standards. YouTube is here to make money. They're running a business. That's why the ads are there. Skip them or download the Brave browser, which takes them out for you. But don't call me a shill because I've got ads on my videos. And of course, yes, that helps this channel, but what am I supposed to get up and do this for free every day? I wouldn't have time to do anything else. I wouldn't have time to go to a full-time job. I'm fortunate that God has given me the most amazing job in the world, and that is fighting the beast and saving lives and bringing people to Jesus Christ. What better job is there? And as long as God keeps me humble, and I don't go crazy and load up my channel with a bunch of sponsors and buy this and do that. Here's a t-shirt and here, buy this oil and buy this and buy that. As long as I'm not doing that and trying to get rich on YouTube, then God approves of us. He keeps the lights on in my household. And that's what matters. So watch out for the people that are running around creating division, because they haven't figured out a way to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves, which is what the Bible tells us we're supposed to be. And that's an interesting verse. I'm going to have to break that down, because it doesn't make sense, does it? Why would God tell us to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves? We'll break that down at a certain point. But I have to be bold in the way I explain this, because there are people afoot. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know what it is. But the only way we're going to be able to continue to have a voice is to play by YouTube's rules. We figured out a way to do it. I've encouraged other channels to try to follow my lead and do what I'm doing. And maybe that's not their calling, or they don't get it, or they're going to take their chances somewhere else. But that is the bottom line. So let's take a look here. Where are we at? We're at 40 minutes. Gosh, it feels like we've been on here a long time. I love each and every one of you, and we will be back on here tomorrow and pretty much every day during the week. If you're new to the channel, we go live at the same exact time every single morning, and we will be back on here tomorrow and also next week. I've got some live shows scheduled. If you're not sure what the live shows are about, you can go onto the front of my page and you can see all of the scheduled live shows and see which ones you'd like to show up to and which ones you don't. I love each and every one of you. Have a great day. Take care and be safe. And definitely don't get bit by the